guys, Sarah here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about the new Tarte Tarteist Pro Glow and Blush palette. So if you're interested in seeing a demo and hearing my full thoughts on this new palette, keep watching. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe before you leave so you don't miss any of my future videos. All right, let's get into it. This palette retails for $45 and it has 6 full-size shades in it. It has the highlighter, bronzer, and then 4 blushes. So the packaging is gorgeous. This is very similar packaging to the Tarteist Pro Glow palette, which I tested out. I did a 5 first impressions video including it, but it's the similar packaging that it opens up like this. It has the 6 shades and then the mirrors on the sides. It's really pretty. One difference between this one and the Pro Glow is that this one doesn't have the shade names by the pans. The shade names are actually on the back, which I think is interesting. I think I'd rather have it right under the shade just so that it's more convenient. And then once you open this up, one thing that I do like about it is that since it's kind of magnetic, these stick together underneath it so that you have the mirror side, but that you can kind of hold on to it and grab your products. That's how I usually grab products. I don't like when things are floppy all over and I'm trying to pick up product. So I do appreciate it that it folds back and you can kind of hang on to it. So the shades that they have are, okay, I think this is backwards. So this is Hi-Fi, Solo, Beat, Electric, Tempo, and Amp. And I think all of these are really gorgeous. All of them are shimmery, so none of them are matte, including the bronzer, which I do not like shimmery bronzers, but I still wanted to try this just because it didn't look like it had major glitter in it. It just looked more glowy, which I'm totally fine with more glow. On the box, it retails for $45, but it does say that it's $175 value, which I think is what they would consider if you bought 6 shades individually in their own separate pans. And on the website, it says, Tarte's Luminous Powder Cheek Wardrobe Tarteist Pro Glow and Blush Palette is filled with 4 shimmer blushes, 1 highlighter, and 1 bronzer made to mix, freestyle, and create your own custom shades. This palette includes 6 full-size shades. I'm personally a huge fan of Tarte No. 1 and also of the Amazonian Clay formula, so I definitely wanted to try this out. And I was way more excited and hopeful about it than I was about the original Pro Glow after trying that one. So let me swatch these for you guys so that you can kind of see an up close of each one. First up is the bronzer. I think this is so pretty. It's definitely more of a golden shade, but it's like a light golden shade. I think that it will be universal for a lot of skin tones, but it's definitely more on the golden side. So if you don't like golden highlights, I don't think that you will like this. And then the bronzer, I think that you'll be able to tell in here that it's more of like a sheen than it is a shimmery shade. I really wanted to build this up and show you guys how pigmented it could be, but you can definitely blend it out easily. I feel like it blended so naturally into my skin, and this is definitely a shade that you can use a light hand if you have a lighter skin tone, or use a heavier hand if you have a deeper skin tone. I think it's gonna work for a lot of people, but it's definitely not a matte bronzer. So if that's what you're looking for, I don't think that you would like it. Okay, next up is Electric. So I'm gonna do this one and Beat. So this one is Electric, and then this one is Beat. Both of them, again, have that sheen, but they don't have like that big glitter shimmer that you kind of don't want on your face. And then for the bottom row, we have Tempo and Amp. So again, Tempo and Amp. So all 4 of these blushes I just think are so pretty. I like that these have the sheen to them, but they're not glittery because you're putting it right on the apples of your cheeks. A lot of people have texture right there, and you don't want to emphasize that by putting glitter on there, but I think this is kind of like the perfect amount of sheen to that. And I will say that I think this is Amp. Yeah, Amp has like gold reflex. It reminds me of NARS Orgasm. This is a very similar shade to that. I wish I had that in my collection right now, but I don't. But just like the gold reflex, I don't know if you'll be able to see them on there, but it definitely gives me NARS Orgasm vibes. Okay, let's hop into me applying these on my face so you can kind of see them in action. My makeup looks a little bit crazy because I have my foundation and powder on and then my eye makeup. So let's finish the face and go into this palette. This is the Tarteist Pro Glow and Blush palette. If you guys remember, I tried out the Pro Glow palette way after the fact of when it came out. I think I tried it over the summer. I included it in a 5 first impressions video, which I will link up here, but I ended up returning it because I just could not get the products to work for my skin tone. So I am more excited about this one. So this is what it looks like. It has 2 small mirrors on the sides, and then it has a highlight, bronzer, and then 4 blush shades. So these are what the shades look like. So first, let's go into the bronzer. I'm taking my Real Techniques sheer powder brush, and I'm just going to pick up some of the bronzer. And I'm gonna do my normal 3E like I always do if you guys have ever seen me do my makeup. Next, for the blush, I think I'm going to go in with this one. It's more of like a corally peachy shade. So I'm gonna pick up some of that. One thing about these blushes, and I've said this about the Amazonian clay, all of the Amazonian clay blushes, is that they are very pigmented. So when you pick up the product, be careful. You don't wanna go in with a heavy hand, and you don't wanna pick up a ton of product, or you will look like a clown. It's decently easy to blend it out, but just to be careful. Like, I picked up a very small amount, and this is very, very pigmented. So just something to keep in mind. And then lastly, I'm going to pick up the highlight, and I'm just going to place this on the high points of my cheekbones. And then I'm just gonna take my ring finger and place it down the center of my nose. Normally, I spray my setting spray all over my face, but I personally don't like to do that when I already have mascara on. So instead, I'm just going to take my damp sponge that I already used and spray some of this straight onto the sponge and then blend it out that way. And this is a good way to blend it out. If you do have too much blush on, this will kind of tone it all down and get it all to kind of melt together. Okay, so this is my finished makeup look. I'm so happy with this palette. I think that it is gorgeous. I'm really excited to have it in my collection. I do think you have to be careful with the blush shades just because the Amazonian clay formula is very pigmented and it's easy to use too heavy of a hand. But again, if you do, just blend it back out or put setting spray on and kind of blend it out with your beauty sponge. I really love all of these shades. I think I'm gonna get the most use out of this peachy one. I think I might dabble into this one for winter though. What I will say about this palette is I think I'm gonna love it more in the summer just because it's so glowy and bronzy and like punchy. It's definitely something I think I'll get more use out of in the summer, but I'm certainly gonna use it right now. I think that this is year round. It looks great. And I do really love both the highlight and the bronzer. So for me, I love this. I really recommend it. If you think that you'll use at least, I'd say 4 of the shades, then I think this could be worth it for you, especially if you use at least one of the blushes and then the bronzer and highlight. You could travel with it, and that hands down could make it good for you. I do just want to compare this really quickly to a couple of the face palettes that I have, just because I don't have a lot of face palettes that have more than one different type of product in it. Usually it's like just a blush palette, just a bronzer palette, just a highlight palette. So I have, this one's not available anymore, but this is the Tarte and Aspen Ovard palette. This has eyeshadows in it, so it's a little bit different, but it does have a blush and a highlight. But this is one that I would still have to bring a bronzer with me because there's not one included. And then I have the NARS Narcissist palette. This has 2 great bronzer shades, and then it has some blushes. What's missing in here is I don't like these powders that much, but it doesn't have a shimmery highlight for me to use. So this is missing that. And then this is the Tarte Hamptons Weekender palette. I've talked about this a million times. This is really the only other palette that I have that I like the bronzer, blush, and highlight all for my skin tone, and I think that it could be universally flattering. This is much smaller than this one is, obviously, but this comes with only 3 shades. It comes with your bronzer, blush, highlight. So this one, and it has a decent sized mirror on it. I love this. I can travel with this. I have traveled with it multiple times. So this one I really love and recommend as well. But if you're looking for something with a few more options, this is a great one because I know sometimes blushes are, like, I can wear the same highlight and bronzer on a very regular basis, but sometimes depending on my eye look or what lip I'm gonna wear, I will want a different blush. So I hope that kind of gave you some insight one way or another, just because there's so many palettes out there, but to find one that all of the shades work for you, I feel like is so rare. Lastly, I have one complaint about this palette, and that is that I wish the bronzer was bigger, because this is the product that you're gonna use the most of, and it's gonna go on the biggest part of your face. So all of these blushes, I feel like if they could have made the bronzer all the way across, and then either done 3 blushes with a highlight, or I don't know, somehow changed the format of it a little bit to make the bronzer the biggest product, just because we're not going to go through that many blushes or even the highlight in the time that we would go through the bronzer. Other than that, that's my only complaint about this. I'm super excited to have it in my collection. So that is everything for this video. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys think of this palette. Are you going to try it, or is it a pass for you? What's your favorite Tarte product? Let me know all the things down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe before you leave so you don't miss any of my future videos. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.